I'm starting my recording at the new topic. So we are now on 6 May 2009. Jair and Steve. This is our talk number 2.
Yes.
And what do we want to talk about again? Or next?
Okay. Well, it's up to you. I mean, I've actually suggested going a little into the whole dictionary thing.
Yes, dictionaries. Let's talk about dictionaries. My students are always looking in the class at their dictionaries. And what do you say to a student when they reach for their dictionary in the classroom?
Okay. Well,
what is your opinion about that? Do you think that students should use their dictionary while you're talking?
Right. Well, we have some courses in our school that we call ESP, English for Special Purposes, and actually the main purpose is to teach what we call here in Brazil instrumental reading, where students would also use some of those reading strategies that we've talked actually last week, skimming and scanning. Ideally, whenever you find a word that you do not know, I usually urge my students to try to infer the meaning of the unknown word through the context, right?
So before they reach for that dictionary,
yes,
step 1 is to try to guess.
To guess the meaning of the unknown word.
Right.
Okay? Because this will actually actually they would speed up their reading process, and I think it would be more dynamic, right? Because if they stop every time they come up with a word that they're not familiar with and go to the dictionary, this will actually not be very good for the whole reading as a whole.
Sure.
But,
or how about if we're listening in class and Steve, while he's talking, uses a word that they don't know? What I tell my students is I like to be interrupted. Did you know that interruptions are good for the brain? It's very good for memory, because if we have a 45-minute class with no interruptions, there are only 2 times when the brain is paying attention. At the beginning and at the end. So when somebody comes in, let's say I'm talking for 10 minutes, I know that my students have forgotten whatever I said during minute 2, minute 3, minute 4. But at the end when I say, so in conclusion, now they start listening again. So what I find is very good is every time there's a word they don't understand, they raise their hand, not looking in the dictionary, because if you're looking in the dictionary, you're concentrating on the book, not on the speaker. So what I tell my students is ask the teacher. Now, a good teacher will never give the answer immediately.
Yes.
Good teacher says, who knows this word?
Yes.
And then maybe there's another opportunity for one of the other students to talk. So I love it when there's interruptions. I love it because then the students are participating in the talk.
I agree.
And I think that another part of their brain is active, because it's not just the eyes looking at the page of the dictionary. It's their ears. They're also having to talk and maybe clarify. Oh, like one of my students wanted to know likely. It is likely to rain tomorrow. And she wanted to know if people liked the rain. I said, well, that was a good guess because of the word like. And I said, does anyone know what likely meant? And one person says, I think it's probably, or maybe possibly. He wasn't sure. And so we had a little discussion about likely. And then I tell my students, go ahead to a dictionary after class, because you can always learn something more. And I think you have some good examples of the differences with the types of dictionary.
That's it. I think I do pretty much the same. You know, I encourage my students to use a dictionary at home, all right, or outside class. I don't actually demand them to bring dictionaries to our classes, right? And they have a real thing for bilingual dictionary. I think it's fine. You know, it's good because they want to actually to know the accurate meaning in Portuguese. But I would encourage them to have one or two good monolingual dictionary so that they can get started getting used to dealing with the words explained solely in English.
I think that's a good idea.
And, of course, it's interesting to point out that you have both Learner's Dictionary. I think this is very good. I highly recommend them. There are several names out there, like Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, Collins Colbild Dictionary.
Collins, okay.
Yes, you have Collins English Dictionary. That's a prescriptive dictionary, and a very good a very good dictionary that British people use a lot. But it's not a learner's dictionary. They should use Collins Colbild, C-O-B-U-I-L-D, right? Colbild.
Colbild, how about that? Yeah.
Why use learner's dictionary, Steve? Because they are based on a database, right? They provide examples with real data based on English that people talk in the streets, English that you will find in sources like newspaper, TV. Collins Colbild actually is the pioneer in this kind of study that dates back from the early 80s, that they start to have their first corpus, Colbild corpus, where they've incorporated millions of words. I'm talking about millions of occurrences. Right?
This is amazing. I'm looking at the Bank of English. It has 500 million words in it.
Yes, you see?
This is amazing.
But these are the meanings of each main word or main entry, right?
Right.
These are what they call occurrences in general. And they are all based in real data. This is very important because dictionaries previously speaking to Colbild, they would use mostly meanings, right, and especially contexts that are invented and not real. Why use real data? That's because that's the natural English that we're speaking right now, the kind of English that you hear everywhere, and it's very instructive. They can learn a lot. Yes, can you hear me?
Sure.
Oh,
I'm looking at the Corpus Concordance Sampler.
Exactly. I would recommend anyone to visit those sources from time to time. And of course, you just can't access the whole corpuses. You would have to pay something monthly, all right? A kind of subscription for that. But you can access part of it.
And at least you can learn something about it. It's something more than just an online dictionary. This is very interesting. So they call it the Collins